Hi, welcome to Introduction to Ethics, phl103, Oakland University, Section 16 and 18, Winter 2012. CRNs 12844 and 12845, Colleges of Arts and Sciences, housed in the Department of Philosophy. Now that that's all out of the way, my name is Grant Yoakum. I'll be your instructor for this course, and the purpose of this brief recording is to go over the syllabus and give you an idea of what to expect from the course. So the first thing you find on the syllabus, which is posted to Moodle and you can find it there, is my email address. It's yoakum@oakland.edu, and though this is a virtual course and we're not really on campus for it, if you have any questions, concerns, please contact me through email, and if you require a face-to-face meeting, that's something through virtual means that we can manage as well. So, the first thing that you find on the syllabus is the course catalog description. For the most part, I'm going to leave that to you to examine for yourself. I assume you've seen it, you've read it, you've understood it because you're in this class and you found this class and have enrolled. Right? So, but nonetheless, the course objectives involve in introducing important historical texts, which I've selected 6 for you. You're probably freaking out about that at this point, but don't worry, we're not going all the way through any one of these texts. We're just sort of focusing on selections from each of these texts. We're also supposed to develop your facility in reading and analyzing theories learned in class, which we will do through exams and through the discussion forum. We're also supposed to develop your facility in writing creatively and clearly about ethical questions, and don't you worry, this is going to be a writing intensive course, since these exams are fairly writing intensive, consisting of 6 longer answer questions, which I'll get to in a minute. Then we are finally supposed to help you learn how to apply ethical theory to concrete situations. And that's sort of unavoidable in the study of ethics because, jumping to the next section, I'm going to describe the course here. Ethics is the field of theory and study that applies to practice. Right? So we're basically going to be looking at 6 theoretical attempts to substantively establish the word should. You should do this. Or to establish the word shouldn't. You should not do this. Right? Now what these are normative claims that relate to practice. Right? So that's going to be the subject of the course, and I'll try to, throughout these video recordings, highlight sort of concrete situations in the form of stories, anecdotes, theoretical problems, what have you, how these theories actually cash out, just not as speculative theories, but in practice as well. All in all, this course, this field of ethics starts off by assuming that you're free and make choices with regard to how you should, with regard to how you act, right? And examines theoretically, right, how to, in a sense, manage that freedom. Right? So that's what we're up to. Now, your required textbooks, Plato's 5 Dialogues, Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, Kant's Grounding for the Metaphysic of Morals, Mill's, 2 books from Mill, Utilitarianism and On Liberty, Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, and Sartre's Existentialism and Human Emotions are all required. Right? And all are available at the Oakland University bookstore. Not to say that you have to shop at the Oakland University bookstore, but I would like the specific versions of these texts. I would like you to have these ones so that if I say see page 22, you can actually see page 22 and we're talking. So just so we're on the same page. Now, you'll be assessed in terms of 4 categories in this class. The first 3 of them are exams. They're going to be 2 midterms and a final exam. All are going to be exactly the same format, 6 longer answer questions, worth 5% of your final grade each. And then there is a discussion board. Now, I'm going to pop over to the second page of the syllabus here to go over each of these sections. The discussion board, each of the theories that we discuss is going to be accompanied by a discussion board topic. We're going to try to get the ball rolling in a conversation that you students have amongst yourselves with regard to the material. So, you're expected to enter into debates, offer criticisms, and generally discuss the nuances of the theoretical positions of each of these figures in this form. Right? Now, what I'm trying to establish in these forums is an ongoing discussion and debate between you guys. That's the wonderful thing about these classes, is that essentially they're large think tanks. Right? You're all concerned about this material, you're all concerned about the same sorts of questions, that sort of thing. So you're all concerned, in terms of my requirement of this discussion forum, with entering into an ongoing discussion with regard to this material. Right? So, so what we're going to do is hopefully develop a high degree of conversation with regard to this material. Right? Now, it's at the end of the semester, the 10 points, you'll be assigned a grade out of 10 for your discussion forum participation. Right? Based on the frequency, relevance, and quality of your participation. So posts like "I agree" or "this is stupid" without additional comments will not be sufficient to garner a decent grade. The other thing I'll tell you about this discussion board is I'll leave all of the subjects open all semester. I do this for a very specific reason. Each of the theories that we discuss in this course are going to be building on one another. So you could conceivably get to the end and have an epiphany, right, with regard to Socrates, the first thinker that we'll be discussing. Right? So at that point you would be free and welcome and encouraged to go back to the first discussion forum and say, oh, I just thought of something based on the last reading about the first reading. Right? Now what this opens the door for, and I want to caution you against, is leaving all of these discussions right till the end of the class. Since the discussions boards will be open until April 23rd, it might be tempting to just wait till the 23rd to post your comments to the discussion board. But really, since what I'm trying to do is generate an ongoing discussion and debate between you, you'll be assessed based on how well you participate and facilitate this ongoing debate and discussion. Right? So that will be part of your grade. Right? The examinations will each cover 2 of the theorists. They'll ask 6 total specific and directed questions in which you'll most frequently be asked to do sort of a couple of things. Introduce in your own words a concept, idea, or argument found in one of the texts, and critically evaluate it or situate it within the context of the larger argument that the text represents. And so each of these questions are, well, they're longer answer, and I have actually stipulated this semester that a minimum of 2 paragraphs in response is going to be required for each of these questions. I do this because in past semesters I've had students write a sentence or 2, and for 5% of your final grade that's just not sufficient. Right? What I want you to do is really dig into these theoretical positions. And essentially these exams are take-home exams. I'll be posting the questions to Moodle 5 days before they're due, so you'll have time to mull them over and think about them. So that's with regard to exams. I like that exam format largely because well, we don't wind up with do or die exams. I prefer a do or learn how to do format, right? Rather than a do or die. So largely that's what you'll be looking at for these exams. You'll have plenty of time to work on them and such. So 90% of your grade is going to be writing, 10% of your grade is going to be, well, sort of again writing in this discussion forum or informal type of response, wherein the beauty of the discussion board is you don't have to, in a sense, be right or know what you're talking about. The discussion forum is a perfectly acceptable place to say, well, I don't understand what Aristotle's talking about, blah, 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 right? And if this generates a good discussion or debate, right, then you're doing just fine, right? Now, important dates for the course. Your first midterm is going to be due on the 17th of February. I'll be posting it on the 12th. That's just before your reading week. The second midterm is due on March 23rd. I'll be posting that again a minimum of 5 days beforehand. Both of those are due at noon. Then your final exam is due on April 16th or is posted on April 16th. I give you more than 5 days with that. It's not due until April 23rd, and I give you until 5 minutes to midnight, largely because that's the latest on the day that Moodle will allow me to set a due date or deadline. I'll be closing again the discussion boards on at the same time as the final exam is due there as well. So anything posted after 11:55 on April 23rd unfortunately won't receive credit in the course. Now, what I've done is I've given you a tentative reading schedule. And it's tentative for two reasons. One, because, well, perhaps we'll fall behind if I detect that you're having difficulty with specific amounts of specific material. And also it's tentative because, well, this is just sort of a rough outline of about where you should be when. The firm deadlines are the midterms and the final exam and the discussion board closing date. Right? So provided you have those assignments completed by those dates, I leave it to you to manage your schedule. But I've laid it out in terms of weeks and giving you the dates as well, so that should be pretty clear. So beginning this week, we're taking a look at the syllabus, looking at course policy, giving you a general course overview. Next week, what we'll be doing, and you'll notice they're posted to Moodle now as well, is I'll be giving you a video lecture on the pre-Socratics, which I consider to be background material. Right? The pre-Socratics are just theorists who theorized before Socrates. So please view that, because that will set up the set of problems that Socrates is trying to address in the Apology and in the Credo. Right? Now, each of these sections, the Socrates, the Aristotle, the Kant, the Mill, the Nietzsche, and the Sartre, will be accompanied by my video lectures plus, usually, supplementary videos that I've found to be interesting or of some sort of educational value. So, you're responsible for screening each and every one of these videos. It's no more time than you'd spend in a lecture on campus, but the bonus of this format is that you can rewind them, you can go back, that's old, you can track back in the data, and if you miss something, you can screen it again. Right? So, and plus, you can organize your own time schedule. So we don't have a set time that you have to be in lecture, but there is X amount of work to get through. Right? So that's laid out there for you. The supplementary videos are there largely because I don't want to just give you Grant Yoakum on each of these theorists. I want to give you Grant Yoakum plus, say, Rick Roderick and Michael Sandel on some of these theorists, just so that you get a bit broader perspective. So it's not just my interpretation you're basing your answers on, but a variety of them, which will give you plenty to dig in critically with. Right? So that's more or less what we're looking at with the course. Now, there are some general policies, which is my finger wag kind of, I hate this section of the intro lecture because we're just getting to know one another. You haven't even engaged with the course, you haven't done any of these things yet, and right off the bat we're talking about plagiarism. I want to be sure that you understand that these policies are here only because I've had problems in the past. I've had a lot of cases of plagiarism. So what I've done is given you the definition of plagiarism here, and the first paragraph is taken directly from the student handbook, and you'll see I've got a footnote to the Oakland University Student Handbook for your reference there, so I'm not plagiarizing here myself. So, plagiarizing the work of others, quote, plagiarism is using someone else's work or ideas without giving that person credit. By doing so, the student is, in effect, claiming credit for someone else's thinking. Whether the student has read or heard the information used, the student must document the source of the information. When dealing with written sources, a clear distinction should be made between quotations, which reproduce the information from the source word for word within the quotation marks, and paraphrases, which digest the source of information and produce it in the student's own words. Both direct quotations and paraphrases must be documented. So reference both, so if it's not your idea, throw a footnote on it. All right? Even if the student rephrases, condenses, or selects from another person's work, the ideas are still the other person's, and failure to give credit constitutes misrepresentation of the student's actual work and plagiarism of another's ideas. Buying a paper, using information from the web without attribution and handing it in as one's own work is plagiarism. Right? So no cheathouse.com, no SparkNotes, no Wikipedia. I want your own words. Right? If you're nervous about your grade, your performance, and you don't know what to write, you're better off writing your own. Right? Because in this course, I've got a zero tolerance policy. I've also sort of got a wacky knack for detecting it too. It's sort of a weird intuition. And the internet being what it is these days, I'm very good at actually digging up the sources of this this form of theft, frankly, right? So Oakland University's got this policy, it's written into my contract. I'm an adequate judge of your understanding of the material, but I'm not allowed to judge authorship. Right? So if I suspect it, I compile evidence and I have to pass it on to an academic review board housed in the Dean of Students' office. The Dean of Students' office determines what sanctions to apply to the student in terms of their academic progress. Plagiarism usually gets academic probation. There are other sanctions that are possible as well. Expulsion is one of them. Regardless, course policy, right, for plagiarism is an automatic failing grade, not on the assignment, but in the course in general. So I'll leave it to you to do the cost-benefit analysis on that, but it's really not worth it. Right? So after all of that is said and done, I apologize for having to say that. Like I say, I'm very aware that none of you have done anything in this course quite yet. Right? So this is me finger wagging preemptively, right? And I expect that we'll have no problems in this course, and that it's if no plagiarism occurs, then that's just words on a page. and doesn't really matter to any of us. The missed exam policy. I'm the first one to understand that life happens. So if you miss an exam due date due to serious illness, death in the family, sky falls basically, please let me know either before, and preferably before the due date or deadline, or within 12 hours of the missed due date or deadline. Otherwise I won't be able to offer an extension. Right. Now, this is not asking for the earth, the sun, and the moon. It's if you realize that you've been really sick for 3 days and you've fallen behind on your work and you're not going to be able to get it done, I'm more than happy to work with you and offer you an extension. Right. But if I don't hear from you until the middle of the semester or towards the end of the semester that you missed one of the midterms, well, it's too late. These deadlines are deadlines. They're not suggestions. So, and plus, it's flow of work for everybody. That's, well, just to be fair, that's the policy. So, in terms of email, understand that email is not as instant as we think it is. Sometimes I email a colleague across the hall, and the email doesn't show up until the next day, right? I'm going to do my best to answer all of your emails as quickly as possible, but also understand that I've got a whole slew of students whose only way to contact me is via email. So sometimes my inbox just gets so jammed that I fall behind. And it's amazing. I sit down, I answer 30, 40, 50 emails in a day. It takes me most of the day. And then 30, 40, 50 emails in response to my emails come back in, and then I've got to email those people back, plus the 20 or 30 that. So if I have a number of the same questions from a number of students, like 10 people ask me one question, sometimes I just batch email back, right? A lot of people have been asking about X, Y, and Z, so here are the answers for all of you to those questions. I'm not ignoring you, I'm just trying to manage a large volume of student questions. Right? So I'm trying my best, well, I'm going to try my best to be on top of all of your emails, but sometimes my responses will be a little bit less personal than I would enjoy or you would enjoy. And for that I apologize in advance. The other thing we have to note with email is that Oakland requires an Oakland University email address be used for all course correspondence. So if you email me from Yahoo or Gmail or me.com or whatever, right, I won't be able to reply to it. It's just what my contract requires of me. So you all have Oakland University email addresses. I email you there. You email me from there if you want me to read and respond to the email. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, it's just what the university requires. I'm just doing what I'm told. And with regard to the discussion board, I want to be really clear that this is for discussion of the course material. It's not discussion for the progress in the course, it's not discussion for the format of the course, it's not a discussion about your weekends. That sort of thing. Basically, any questions or concerns about the structure of the course, the content, beyond a discussion of the particular theorists and the particular discussion that's designed around the discussion board, right, should be either addressed to me or you can personally take care of that between one another, right? Now, also, if there are abrasive or inflammatory comments on the discussion board, I'm going to penalize you for that. I want this to be a collegial kind of academic instructional resource, and nobody should feel attacked, right? It's okay to disagree about the ideas, right? And in fact, if you disagree about my take on the material, that's great. If you disagree about your interpretations of the material amongst one another, right, that's great. But my problem is when it regresses to personal attack, right? And I and the university and your code of conduct have a problem with that, right? And but by the way, in addition to this, you're responsible for anything that your account posts to the discussion board, right? I've heard in the past, I walked away to go to the washroom and my brother posted something, right? Well, if you walk away to go to the washroom, either make sure your brother doesn't post something or bloody well log out of your account, right? Because you're responsible for what's said from your account, right? So, anyhow, so that was a whole lot of finger wagging for a bunch of people who haven't really done anything, and especially anything wrong yet. So I apologize for that, but each of these things are here because I've had problems in the past. And I'm a big believer in not letting problems fester and solving them before they become problems. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the grading scheme. It's on page 3, the last page of your syllabus here, and it might be a little bit different than what you're used to. What I want to point out to you is it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other with this. If you just look through the letter grade to percentage point conversion, this is just what I think when I say an answer is about an A, right? I mean, the A range ranges from 80 to 100. So an A range grade is going to receive that kind of percentage point. And B is 70 all the way up to 79.9. C is from 60 to 69.9, so on and so forth. Your percentage point that you get in the course, and I've laid everything out fairly easy so that you can do simple math to add up your grade and determine what you got out of what. You see everything totals to 100, and 100% is what you're aiming for, right? Anyhow, that's so if you get a 72.9, well, if you get a 72% on one of your assignments, that means you get a B minus. If you get an 82% on one of your assignments, that means you get an A minus. Right? Now, what I do at the end of the semester is I convert your letter grade, right, from the percentage point in the course. I convert that to a letter grade, and then I take that letter grade, and what I submit to the registrar is, well, right on the bottom of the page there, by the official office of the registrar, letter grade to grade point average conversion chart. Right? So your final grade, as it's submitted to the office of the registrar, will be well, an out of a 4-point grade, right, based on this scale. Right? So an A is still an A, a B is still a B, a C is still a C. It's just the only difference is the percentage point to letter grade transition there. And Oakland University actually leaves that up to me. So, I think this should be an interesting semester for you. I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy this class. I've tried to pick interesting readings. I've got interesting stories. My cat will occasionally make an appearance in these online videos. You'll get very used to my bad jokes and all of my strange little mannerisms. You'll see I record these lectures from different locations. In some cases there's going to be a chalkboard behind me. By the way, don't worry if you can't read what's on the chalkboard behind me, because everything that's on the chalkboard I say. So if you listen carefully, you should be just fine with that. It's just meant to be there as a supplement. When I was first recording these lectures, I was working on camera resolution, that sort of thing, and I think I've got it sorted out more or less now, except for the sun behind me in this one, but there are no notes. So basically I'm a talking head. Right? Anyhow, welcome, and I hope that we have an interesting semester. Cheers.